Welcome to Module 4 of Good to Go Sonol. I'm Cheryl Miller from the Diablo Fire Safe Council. We've been working with a leadership team of residents supported by the Alameda County Fire Department and the Santa Clara unit of CAL FIRE to develop this program. Funding was provided by the California Department of Forestry and Fire Protection as part of the California Climate Investments Program. Since this program is in its early form, we hope you will give us feedback on what works for you or what is missing. If you don't have a workbook for this module, download one at www.goodtogowildfire.com. We look forward to hearing from you as you discover how to be good to go. In Module 4, we will cover Everyone Goes, preparing to evacuate pets and large animals. We will cover 3 topics: pet preparedness, pet evacuation, and large animal evacuation. In your workbook, 12 actions will provide specialized checklists to help you continue to customize your evacuation plan for your entire family. During a disaster, what's good for you is good for your pet. Get them ready too. Start with prepare. Just like for each family member, build a go bag for each animal with items for basic survival. Develop a buddy system with neighbors, friends, or relatives to be able to evacuate your pets while you are at work or away. Talk to your vet about preparedness planning. Get out of area contact information. Next, think plan. Create plans for what to do to get away, or if you are told to stay. Remember that public shelters may not allow your animals inside. Plan for appropriate lodging in advance for the number and type of animals. Some options to explore are listed in your workbook. Now, practice your plan. Practice having your buddy evacuate your pet. Can they load your pet into a carrier? Gather the go bag? Know where to meet you? Practice using your contact list once a year to keep information current. For more practice, see animal-specific recommendations in your workbook. Lastly, participate with your neighbors. Stay informed. Adapt to changing situations. Follow instructions from authorities on the scene. Try to take your pets with you, but don't become a fatality trying to save them. Just like each family member, build a go kit for each animal with items for survival. There are 8 basic categories for survival, which include first, food. Your go kit needs 3 days of food and water that's specifically for your pets. Medicine, extra supply of medicine, and a first aid kit. Talk to your vet for what's appropriate, but there's some ideas on page 5 of your workbook. Have a collar with ID tag and a rabies tag, harness and leash. Be sure to include a backup leash, collar, and identification tag in your first aid kit. Consider microchipping and enrolling your pet in a recovery database. Have a crate or other pet carrier large enough for your pet to stand, turn around, and lie down. Have a picture of you and your pet together. This will help if you become separated. Add species, breed, age, sex, color, and distinguishing characteristics to papers that go with that picture. Have documents, your registration, and your vaccination records. Stay up to date on your vaccines, as most boarding kennels and shelters will need proof of current shots. Add familiar items such as treats, toys, and bedding to help reduce your pet's stress. And lastly, don't forget sanitation, your pet litter, litter box, paper towels, trash bags, chlorine bleach. We'll briefly cover some species-specific information, starting with evacuating cats. You're going to want to plan ahead to make your evacuation quick and safe. If you can, practice some short drives to get your cat used to being in the car. Make sure your cat's wearing identification and consider having your pet microchipped. Talk to your vet. Put the cat in the carrier early, before they come frightened and difficult to catch, feeding off of your energy as you get ready. Make sure the carrier is big enough for them to turn around and to lie down. Consider enclosing them in the bathroom or another small space first. Keep the cat in the carrier or on the leash at all times. Avoid feeding immediately before travel if you can. Offer water and rest stops every few hours as you go, and prepare a quiet place once you reach your destination. Wait a few hours before offering food or water. Similarly to actions for cats, for dogs you want to be able to plan ahead to make your evacuation quick and safe. Make sure your dog is wearing identification, a breakaway collar, and consider microchipping. Keep your dog in a carrier or on a leash at all times. Avoid feeding immediately before travel if you can. Offer water and a rest stop every few hours. And provide a quiet place once you reach your destination. Wait a few hours, just like for cats, before you offer food and water. So what's special is a little more water. You're going to think about 6 gallons of water for a week for a dog. Depending on the size of the dog, you may need more. If you have other types of pets, learn about their special considerations. For example, birds are very sensitive to smoke. If leaving, be sure your bird is removed first and the carrier is well covered to keep the smoke out. For birds and reptiles, offer fruits and vegetables that are high in water content instead of trying to give them water. For birds and reptiles, consider a portable heat source in cool weather, or a mister to mist your bird's feather if it's hot. For birds and small animals, cover the container to calm them during transport. But remember, they probably need a certain amount of light each day, and if you cover the carrier, be sure to allow a few hours of light, either natural light or even the light of a flashlight or a lamp. If you have no alternative but to leave your pet at home, there are some precautions you must take. Remember, leaving your pet at home alone places your animal in great danger. But as a last resort, if you must leave your pets, your workbook includes a list of things to do. Confine pets to the house, preferably in a room with few or no windows. Separate animals to avoid fights. Put out plenty of fresh water and dry food, something that's not as appetizing so they won't eat it all at the first hour. Leave a note on the front door or in a window notifying rescuers of animals inside. Don't leave pets outside to fend for yourselves. Your pet will be scared, confused, and disoriented. Your pet's go bag should include a first aid kit. The checklist on page 10 includes ideas, but talk to your vet about what else your pet might need. Keep a first aid kit in a portable container and include things like gauze, pads and bandages, tweezers, antibiotic ointment, an instant cold pack, rags or rubber tubing for a tourniquet, and a muzzle. Learn pet first aid. Take an online course from the Red Cross or download their pet's first aid app. Learn vital statistics for your pet and how to take heartbeat and temperature. And this will help you understand when vet care is needed. Learn basic first aid procedures and especially how to handle an injured animal. Your easygoing pet may behave very differently under the stress of an evacuation or injury. After a wildfire can be very confusing for your pet. Page 11 of your workbook gives you tips about helping your pet return home. Do not let your pet out until everything is cleared. Check your house and surrounding area for hazards. Wear heavy shoes while you do this so you avoid injury. Supervise your pet while outdoors. Familiar scents and landmarks may have disappeared, leaving your pet disoriented or confused. Do not use water from the tap until you are sure it is safe to drink. Boil or purify it with bleach if you're unsure. You're also going to want to check inside the house. Open cupboards and closets carefully as contents may have shifted. Keep pets away from wildlife who are likely to also be stressed and unpredictable after a disaster. Lastly, give your pets lots of reassurance and comforts as they will be frightened. But don't overdo the attention. Allow your pet plenty of time and space to recover from the disaster. Watch for signs of stress, changes in eating, drinking, or sleeping. If symptoms are severe or last more than a week, consult your vet. Evacuation can be very stressful on animals. They may hide or run away or be lost. If you lose a pet, place ads in local stores, on social media, and read found pet ads. Contact rescue groups for your breed. Post flyers in neighborhood and local shelters. Visit shelters at least every other day. Inform neighbors, mail carriers about your pet. Search a neighborhood on foot at dusk and dawn. Search further than you expect, and don't give up. If you find someone's pet, contact the local humane societies and shelters. Check your local papers and social media for lost pet notices. Put up found pet signs with your phone number. If possible, create a poster with a photo of the animal. Keep the pet until the owner is found, or find someone else who can keep her. When you find your pet, remember, she may be difficult to catch. If you see your pet outdoors, she could be frightened and run away from you. Use caution handling your pet, as she may bite or scratch. Examine your pet for injuries and signs of dehydration and illness. Take him to the vet as soon as possible for a thorough exam. Expect an adjustment period. Allow your pet to readjust at his own pace. He may not eat much for a few days, or he might hide. Provide a place for pet to hide and feel safe, such as a closet, someplace that's easily accessible to you. This will enable you to keep an eye on him and also allow you to catch him quickly if you need to re-evacuate. And lastly, have patience. Comfort your pet, but also give it time to itself. Patience and affection will help your pet cope with disruption and return to normal. The first priority in wildfire planning for your barn or farm is human safety. People must be kept safe so they can help the animals. Develop a specific plan of action for wildfire. Pages 13 and 14 of your notebook include checklists covering 8 categories. First, assemble your disaster kit. Use the checklist to make sure you have food and water for each animal and human for at least 3 days. Basic firefighting supplies for spot fires. Identification photos and medical records for each animal. And other tools such as rope or wire cutters. They're among the items on the list. Next, you're going to want to post emergency information and a diagram of your barn and property at each entrance and in all rooms within a barn. Find or create several alternative water sources on your property. Use storage tanks and water troughs. Reduce fire hazards in and around your barn. No smoking. Where do you store the flammables, including hay or manure? Make sure they're away from the barn. Create defensible space and harden the structures to reduce the potential of ignition. You're going to want to identify your animals with freeze marking, branding, tattoos, ear tags, and microchips, and store copies of the medical records, papers, and photographs with your emergency supplies. Maintain your trucks and trailers in good condition and make sure they're available at all times. Customize your animals to loading and trailering quickly and calmly. And prepare your people about emergency procedures, animal handling, using trailers safely. Maybe form a neighborhood group to watch out for each other, identify escape routes, learn first aid and CPR. Lastly, work with a local fire department and sheriff's office to develop an emergency plan. Ask for an annual inspection of fire extinguishers and the storage of combustibles. Preparing large animals for the actual evacuation requires an extra level of planning, preparedness, and practice. If you have large animals such as llamas, cattle, sheep, goats, or pigs on your property, be sure they are ready before a disaster. Ensure all animals have some form of identification. Spray paint or use livestock crayon to write your name and phone numbers on the sides of an animal. Attach a neckband. Have photos of you and your animal showing brands, unique marks, or tattoos. Evacuate animals early whenever possible. Don't hesitate. Fires move quickly. Map out primary and secondary routes in advance. Ensure destinations have food, water, veterinary care, and handling equipment. Fairgrounds are often used for sheltering animals, but may not have these things. Plan ahead. Load evacuation kits in trailers and vehicles. Make available vehicles and trailers needed for transport and supporting each type of animal. Match experienced handlers and drivers for each trailer. Practice loading your animals prior to evacuation. If evacuation is not possible, animal owners must decide whether to move large animals to shelter or turn them outside. More on if you must leave livestock behind in a few minutes. If you have a horse, we have a specific checklist for their evacuation. Building an evacuation kit for each horse and having a plan for them that's been practiced increases the potential your animals will be able to leave when you do. Similar to each human, your horse needs a go bag with food and water, medications, tack, phone numbers, and first aid kit. There is more detail on the checklist on page 16 of your workbook for what you should include. Critical is current vaccination and health certificates. Many temporary boarding facilities will not accept your horse without them. Store your evacuation kits in a dry location where temperature does not get too hot or below freezing, and make sure you can quickly load these kits into vehicles. To make your evacuation easier, store important paperwork in the cloud or on a flash drive. Records should include copies of ownership, breed registration, brand inspection, bill of sale, and insurance paperwork. If your horse is microchipped, keep contact information accurate and current, especially if enrolled in a registry. Lastly, make sure that you have identification for your horse. Include a photo of brands and of you and your horse showing any unique markings or tattoos in both what you store on the cloud and in your evacuation. Finally, if evacuation is not a possibility, animal owners must decide whether to move large animals and horses to shelter or to turn them outside. The Humane Society recommends that if you have pastures of 1 acre or more, animals let loose have a better chance of finding safety. A reminder, firefighters may cut fences or open gates to free trapped animals, so providing identification on each animal is critical. Think through the potential of leaving your livestock or horse, but stay flexible to respond to changing situations. Reminder, don't enter a barn that's already burning. Smoke inhalation can kill you. Blindfold animals if necessary. Put halters on animals and lead them to safe areas outside of a burning barn. Remove any nylon materials, halters, leads, fly masks, etc. before you turn animals loose so that those items don't melt during fire's extreme temperature, or more likely from embers. Close the barn doors after you remove your animals, otherwise they may try to return to the barn and become trapped inside. If you're caught in the open, go to bare or rocky ground. Don't try to outrun a fire. Post a sign for rescue workers noting the number and type of animals left and the location of extra food. Include important contact numbers. And lastly, return to check on animals as soon as the emergency personnel deem it safe. So let's do a quick recap of the key concepts you learned. You learned about the pet preparedness using the 4 Ps, just like for people, there are 4 Ps for pets. You want to prepare with Go kits, develop your own list and system of Go. You're going to want to plan to go and stay. Develop a buddy system, talk to your vet, get contact information. You're going to want to practice your plan and participate with your neighbors, stay informed and flexible. We also talked about pet evacuation, and that identification is critical in case you and your pet get separated. We learned a few of the special considerations for travel with various types of pets. And the last resort, if you have to leave your pet at the home, use the checklist of do's and don'ts. After a fire, use the checklist to keep your pets safe. And if you have lost or found pets, we have another checklist. We also learned about large animal evacuation and how to develop a specific plan of actions for wildfire, to assemble disaster kits and post diagrams of your property, water source, and fire hazards, how to be ready to go with identification marks on animals, trucks, and trailers, and people that are ready to go. We also talked about completing an assessment of whether to shelter or whether turnout is better for your property. There are several ways to become more involved in Good to Go Sunol. You can take our short survey or sign up on our contact list to receive updates. You can either email your request or sign up on our website. You can host a module. We're happy to set up a Zoom meeting for your neighbors and friends. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel for other modules, or attend a Sunol Citizen Advisory Council meeting for a live presentation. That's also through Zoom right now. You can download a workbook at www.goodtogowildfire.com, or if you have any questions, please email us at goodtogosunol@gmail.com. Get a workbook, prepare for wildfire, and get good to go, Sunol.